So Welsh is not one of the oldest languages in the world just because it doesn't come from Latin. In fact, I'm not sure I would say Welsh is one of the oldest languages in the world at all. I wouldn't say any language is the oldest language in the world because it's really kind of impossible to know. A lot of people make claims, but the thing is, every language is always constantly evolving. Dialects branch off and become new languages, even if they haven't branched off and formed new languages, and they've been the same language recognized by the same name for thousands and thousands of years. What was spoken 200 years ago is not the same as what's spoken today. And it's not the same as what was spoken 500 years ago, or 1,000, or 2,000, or 10,000 years ago. So can any language really be the oldest when languages themselves are constantly renewing themselves? And although English, Welsh, and Latin are all related, they're quite distantly related. So the farthest back we can reliably trace all those three languages is Proto-Indo-European. So start with Proto-Indo-European, then it branches off into major language families like Germanic, which is where English is, and then Italic, which is Latin, and Celtic, which includes Welsh. Some say it was Italo-Celtic before those two split off later. But with Germanic, then it would split off into West Germanic, and then you would get English. With Italic, then you would get Latin, and then you'd get all the modern Romance languages. And with Celtic, you'd get Brittonic and Goidelic or Gaelic, and from Brittonic, you would get Welsh. So Welsh and English share a common ancestor with Latin, but neither of them descend from Latin. But that doesn't make either of them older than Latin either. I certainly understand why this is something a lot of people might believe. I used to believe it when I was younger and I didn't know anything about linguistics. Latin influence is obviously everywhere. We use Latin words in pretty much any language in the world when we're talking about scientific things, medical things, biology. Latin terms and influence are everywhere. And especially from an English framework with so many borrowed words coming from French and therefore ultimately coming from Latin, it seems like, well, of course, that would be the precursor. But genetically, English does not come from Latin. And the only languages that actually come from Latin are the modern Romance languages, of which there's 40-something, depending on who you ask, which is definitely a lot, but it's nowhere close to the world's about 7,000 languages. If you have any more questions, please leave a comment and follow me for more.